Hello, everyone. I'm Sunny Chase, and I am so excited to be here today and tonight, wherever we are in the world, for Mynoo Maryel's Pearl of Wisdom. And if we can believe it, it is the 78th Pearl of Wisdom. And tonight and day, we are going to be talking about manifest. And so it is about let us get from Mynoo the 7 fast track hacks or nuggets or delicious treats and gifts for us to absolutely impart these things to ourselves and others and be able to really manifest our dreams. You know, the time has come, people. Let's get these things that we've been working so hard for and love to know that it is our time. And we are going to get ready and receive them. So no doubt we want our pens and paper. I'm ready with my pen and my paper myself. I'm sure I'll be taking many notes tonight. And so Mynoo, I think it's time for you to jump on in and let us receive our gifts from you tonight.
So let's begin with the 78th Pearl of Wisdom on manifest. It's a great one to actually be working with, particularly at this point in time where we are at a point on the planet where the planetary energies are such that we literally can choose what our intention is, focus our intention on that intention, and implement many of the things that I'm going to be talking about, literally working with these fast track hacks. So to actually go into this, let's actually look at, what a hack is in itself. A hack is at a creative level, a hack is something where the people who are looking at it, at what has happened, say, wow, how the heck did they do that? It's being able to get to that point is how I see a creative hack. So in the context of manifest, that's what we are talking about. And added to that, we have the layer of fast track. Fast track itself is the quickest and the most direct route to achieving what it is that you wish to achieve. So the quickest and the most direct route of achieving a goal or achieving an intention or achieving a dream, and done so in such a way that the onlookers say, how the heck did they do that? That's what we are talking about. And let's look at manifest. What is manifest? Just dictionary definition wise, it's really about making evident or making certain by showing or displaying what has occurred. So literally there's a great emphasis on that people can see. It isn't that you have manifested it in just your field. People can actually see this. It's evident. And there is a certainty factor that comes to it. So our session today is all about the quickest and the most direct route to achieving what it is that you wish to manifest, in where it is visible and it's certain and it's evident for you and for others that what it is that you intended has occurred in such a way that the onlookers look at it and say, how the heck did you do that? That's really what we are talking about here. I was quite excited when I got that this is what this particular Pearl of Wisdom is going to be about. So let's look at what is the first hack. The first hack itself it's miracles. I'm just going to mute everyone and just give me a moment. The first hack is miracles. Now, a miracle, for those of you who have heard me talk about it, is where something beautiful occurs that makes your heart sing. And the fact that your heart is beating, that is the song of the heart. So it's thinking already about something that's very evident and very certain for your heart. So given that everything is a vibration, and whatever occurs and shows up in your reality is a vibrational match to what it is that you are vibrating. The moment you zoom in and you focus on what's making your heart sing, just need to mute again. The moment you zoom in and look at, okay, what's making my heart sing, you're actually applying your own abilities to search out that evidence that gives your heart the certainty to keep beating. In doing so, you start discovering stuff that you might have just taken for granted. And you start anchoring that in your reality as something that has the vibration of a miracle. Now, the interesting thing is, I talk about we all have a lens that's there in our eyes that we can choose to work with. And we also have a miracle lens. So the first fast track hack is that of a miracle. It really calls you to tune in and focus your miracle lens. And you start looking through that lens to find what's going on right now that's making your heart sing. Now, the intention with this, when you look through your miracle lens, is to evidence for yourself that at any point in time, in any moment, anybody, regardless of what their social status is, or their physical abilities are, or their language abilities are, or regardless of what race or caste or whatever it is that they come from, they all have a miracle lens. And you can literally, through that, start looking at what is making your heart sing. And it could be, I mean, there have been times, in the recent COVID times, particularly when we had the Delta variant and India was very severely hit by that. It was quite something to be receiving messages about require oxygen, require hospital bed. And by the time we get that arranged, the person is already crossed over. And the black marketeers saw the demand and raised the prices. So then the whole force that was on the ground had to be directed at someone else. And now the price was way higher than all that stuff. Actually didn't feel like it made my heart sing. And I was very clear that, I do have a strong, powerful presence. Each one of us does. And holographically, I was very aware at the expanse of my own vibrations. So almost every few moments, I would get my miracle lens out and look at what's making my heart sing. And that may simply be that little bit of shimmer on my on the kaftan I was wearing, or the fact that I had the presence of mind to be able to pull out the miracle lens and yet feel the emotions, not have to shut it off, to actually be able to collaboratively coexist within myself, managing all of these things. That was making my heart sing. Now, what happens here is the moment you get to a few of these, it starts to regenerate itself. You get into a cadence. And if there are any of you here who have not yet listened to the Pearl of Wisdom on cadence, please do. Because cadence, when you get into the cadence, which is a rhythmic one step after another that starts to happen, the moment all you have to do is to get something into cadence and it automatically regenerates and multiplies. And that's what happens with the miracle lens. And that's the fast track hack to manifestation. And yesterday I had had a situation where I'm here in Delhi, staying at Meena ji's place, who is one of our regular participants here, and also Miracle Journeyer. And she has this really beautiful woman who comes and does the housework. And she was looking a little bit down, and I asked her, are you feeling okay? And she shared certain health issues that were going on for her. And this is a, 3-4 story house, and going up and down to clean it and stuff. When I'm feeling well enough, it takes some effort. And there she is, doing this. And she was actually feeling really down. So I thought, okay, I'm going to teach her how to use this miracle lens. And of course, talking to her, I'm going to teach you how to use a miracle lens. Wouldn't have actually landed at all, So I just asked her to acknowledge, first of all, how she was feeling. Where does it hurt? And, what effect does that have on you? And are there any concerns it generates? And of course, it generates concerns. She's got a family, she's got young kids, and she has to, come in and do the work here, and as well as look after the family and stuff. And so I said to her, I get I do get all of that, and I really appreciate and admire you for being able to manage all of that. What's important at this point is to know what you're feeling and be honoring of your body, but also emotionally get yourself to feel good. And she said, well, how can I feel good when I'm feeling like this and I have these concerns? I said, yeah, I understand, I empathize. And if I was to ask you right now, what's there that is actually making you feel good in your heart? She said, the fact that you're taking interest in me and you're asking me this. And I says, okay, so how does that make you feel? She says, I feel that someone cares. And I says, okay, so is there anything else that's making you feel good about all of that? And she says, I feel that everything will turn out fine now. It was literally only a few minutes. And then she started saying that, there was a color that she had worn as a bindi, on her forehead. And she started talking about that and, how it looks very contrasting to her skin tone. And when she looked at the mirror, it made her smile, like completely unrelated stuff. My point is, she got into that rhythm instead of noticing the aches and pains and the weaknesses. She acknowledged all of that, but emotionally, she got into a space of strength. And, she started, she said to me afterwards, I'm taking these medicines, but my pain is a lot less. Do I still take it? I'm supposed to take 3 of these every day. And of course, I wasn't going to interfere with what the doctor had prescribed, but it's interesting. It all began with how ill and how much in pain she was at that time. And all I did was teach her how to use this perspective. And then I said to her that, look, what we did just now is that, there is something, it's called chamatkar, like the miracle is called chamatkar. So I said that it doesn't, and she said, it's like a miracle has just happened. The pain isn't as much as it was when we started talking. I don't know what's happened. I can actually do this stuff and not feel so tired. And then that's when I shared with her what we did. And it was right there in front of my eyes, fast track hack to manifesting well-being. I have used this miracle lens a lot. I know that those of you who've done deeper work with me, who have taught to use the miracle lens, you've also done this. So just go ahead. And the good thing is, this is the great thing. This is the exciting thing about a miracle. A miracle lens shows you what's evident and what's certain in the moment. You know, so the fact that it does that, it means every moment, as long as your heart is beating, it is singing. So the miracle lens is active, it's focused. You have it. The important part, this is the nuance of this hack. If I had just asked her to ignore how she was feeling and tell me what was making her feel good, she wouldn't have been able to talk about it. So there is a nuance to the hacks, to the fast track hacks to manifestation. The nuance is acknowledge where you're at and acknowledge where you're at fully. The good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, socially, environmentally. So there I am asking her, you know, you look a little bit down today. And she says, oh yeah, you know, I have this issue and it's making me feel really weak and I have so much ache and pain and all of that. And I said, well, where does it feel? What happens? So here I am going into really using the lay of the land questions with her, and she's describing it. I'm not engaging in any discussion about it. All I did was just got her to acknowledge. How does it make you feel? You know, and what effect does it have on the people that are close to you? And this is the social dynamics part, you know, and then she goes on talking about that. And, you know, what it does is it starts to train you to really calm down and relax and not get over analytical about everything. Not everything requires analysis. Use the power of acknowledgement first, and then you can go and do a deep dive in what remains and that requires to be looked at more deeply. But the nuance of this first hack of miracles is acknowledge where you're at. Just acknowledge. And then you go into, okay, here I am. All of this is fine. My heart is still beating. So what coexists in this moment is something that's getting my heart to be so certain. So what is it? Let's see the evidence of that. Now there, I don't push people to do it in the sequence of a full spectrum. You just allow whatever emerges to emerge. Knowing that this fast track hack to manifest will at some point start regenerating, which is exactly what it did. And she started noticing the color and sharing the color of her bindi and she said, you know, it is such a contrast to my skin color that it makes me look even darker than I am. But I'm wearing this sari and it matches the sari exactly. Look how exact the match is. And I was like, my heart was like beaming in a very big way to see this woman. And then she says, oh my God, it's like a miracle. The pain is diminished. This is the exciting part of this first fast track hack, that all you have to do is get into a cadence and then it'll start regenerating. And you know what a regeneration of what the miracle lens shows you does? It presences you in a full spectrum way to how abundant life is. How much you already have access to, how much of that you already are tapping into. You know, that is enriching the way you can live this life. And then the gift of life itself becomes something worthy of acknowledgement. The fact that your heart is beating becomes something that's making your heart sing. So that's the first one. I get very excited about these. The second one is a collection of words, actually. It's abound, aground, around, amplify, audacious. Abound, and remember, when we do the pearls of wisdom, if you only ever worked on one pearl and nothing else, they're designed so that each pearl has got so much richness in it that you engaging with it, you'll end up making a meaningful contribution to creating a world that works for everyone. And when we do the Pearl of Wisdom, and I take you through the 7, whatever it might be, in this case, we are talking about the 7 hacks, fast track hacks. I ask you to do them in sequence. Because one thing builds over the other, over the other, over the other. Now, by the time you get to the second one, your miracle lens is active. It's already provided you a lot of evidence. Now you're ready to go into the second fast track hack. Now you're ready to actually acknowledge the manifestations you have already enabled up to this point in time in your life. And that's the abound. You realize, wow. So and this is where I like a little bit of structure. So I go about it in a very structured way. So I go abound, aground, around, amplify. So, okay, if I take the last 5 years, what is it that I have already manifested? Like I thought about it, dreamt about it, wrote about it, or had it on my vision board or on my miracle journal, and it occurred. Again, I'm only asking you to use the tool of acknowledgement. Acknowledgement is a power tool. When you acknowledge something that you don't want, it squirts a weed killer equivalent exactly where it is required, and it removes at a root level what you don't want. If you acknowledge that, which you do want, which you do enjoy, it multiplies that automatically. So by simply acknowledging what you've already manifested, you start to become present to, whoa, my manifestation abilities really abound. What it also does, and then you keep going, don't stop there. So I go last 5 years. I mean, I have many clusters of 5 years to go back, whatever you have. I even did this with my 4-year-old grandson, talking to him in his language. And he was like ecstatic at the end of a big tantrum that he'd had, because he realized what he wanted, what he dreamt about, he just had the power to manifest it, So how many ever clusters of 5 years you have, you will always find a sufficient collection of stuff that you've already manifested. So you will land in the vibration of abound. And when you feel that the manifestation abilities abound, it's like, whoa, it's like a bountiful of that you have access to. It grounds you, and it grounds you by getting you to understand at a knowing level, I can do it. I have done it many times before. And there is a very interesting thing. It's like a domino that happens. It's like the domino drops the moment you start getting, the moment this manifestation ability is aground, and you look around you and you start experimenting. You start thinking of a person, and you'll find they call, or you go for a drive, and you can actually find a parking place just by imagining it's going to be there. And so many of us have experienced this. We truly are surrounded by angels and fairies, some that we can see and some that we can't. The The parking ferry is often there, even when I had my driver driving, even though I don't necessarily need it at that time. But it's good fun to just play the game. And you then start seeing it all around you. And it automatically starts to amplify. Now you have gone from, remember that journey that I talk about, from data to information to knowledge to wisdom to knowing. Now you are in a state of knowing, it automatically starts to amplify. You can now become audacious. You can now seriously look at what is it that you wish to manifest. And if I just took all the brakes off, if I had no boundaries and there were no barriers, anything and everything was possible, what would have occurred if this was manifested? What would have occurred in my life in 12 months' time? What would I be seeing? What would I be hearing? What would I be feeling? And if I was there in 12 months' time and I projected forward 24 months' time, what would have occurred? So really what you're doing here is everything is a vibration. You're starting to anchor vibrationally that which you wish to manifest. Yesterday, every Thursday, I do this Ask Me Anything. So for the Americans, it was earlier this morning. For us, it was yesterday evening. And one of the questions that this person asked was, what can I do so that I can achieve my sales targets on autopilot? I have these goals and I set them up and I work hard and some of them happen and some of them don't. How do I achieve them on autopilot? These hacks, these manifestation hacks enable you to do that. But what happens is, whilst you are in the inquiry of how can I achieve it, and you so want to achieve it, you're actually not in an audacious state. You're sometimes given the targets and you're then working towards them. You keep working towards it because that's the vibration you have anchored. You don't quite get there. So one of the first things I say to people is, drop the idea of goals that you wish to go get to. Sure, take it on and anchor it as a resolve. Why would you want to put any energy into anything that you wish to get to and don't quite get there? Okay, you've been given a target, and sure, the corporate language is that of goals and stuff like that. That's okay. They can use that language. If you are putting your time and energy into it, are you buying into that? Are you resolved about getting there? Are you resolved about that the achievement of that, what you have been given as a goal, is your reality? It's already occurred. And if it has already occurred, then what would have happened? So there are many things that come in the way of manifestations actually showing up as an evidence with certainty so that it is there for you to see, for others to see. Physically, you may know everything that requires to be done, but it literally is the tip of the iceberg. In a full spectrum lens, physical is impacted by your mental state. It is impacted by your emotional state, impacted by your connection to the spiritedness of you, impacted by the social dynamics you engage in, and impacted by your environment. So when you have a goal of achieving certain sales targets, physically, you've got all the systems, you've got all the trackers, you've got the practices that you do, you've got the skills and the experience, and you get on with it. But mentally, there is an undertone of, well, I've done this before, it hasn't happened. What if it doesn't happen this time? So you start hoping, which in itself anchors, what if it won't, what if it doesn't work? Emotionally, there is a trepidation that is there. Outwardly, you may be ringing the bell every time you achieve a particular target, if you're in a corporate world or whatever it might be. That's great. Celebrate all of that, but there is an undertone that is there. And you're working really hard physically so that undertone does not show up. Oh, I've got to do positive incantations and all that stuff. So in my world, I'd never ask anyone to do any positive incantations. I don't even ask you to think positively. I just say, okay, acknowledge what's there, because a miracle lens shows you. You don't need to think something that isn't there. It's there. Your heart is singing about something, and the spirit of you is what matters. Because if you're not experiencing that yumminess in your own flow, you're disconnected from the spiritedness of you. There isn't that lightness of being. So find that. And any social dynamic, there was a target that was set. I didn't quite achieve it. Oh my God, I've got to come up with all of these reasons why I didn't quite get there, but I did really well, So there you have to do a reporting. It's one thing going into that with trepidation. It's another thing acknowledging exactly what's there and stating it as a fact without allocating any meaning to it. That creates an environment of certainty. This is where we are at. It's just so. This is how I'm addressing what requires to be addressed as we move forward. And you can actually become, if there is a pattern in you just achieving something, like not quite getting there, it's about 20% less, or only achieving it 50%. Okay, fine. Apply the audacious fast track hack. Get audacious. Your 50% will be more than 100%. But again, look, I'm not random about these things. I say, do it in sequence. Do it in sequence. And do it thoroughly with precision. And I'm talking about precision. I'm not talking about perfection here. Because perfection in my world lies in embracing imperfection. The third fast track hack is nimble. I'm sure you're already feeling it, that if you actually have done the first miracle lens, look out through the miracle lens, and you've experienced your own abilities as a manifestor, abound, aground, they're around and they amplify. And you've started playing the audacious game in the context of what you wish to manifest. You already are in a state which is nimble. What is nimble? Nimble is quick and agile. And literally what is happening here is you're activating the power of the 4 elements. In my world, everything coexists. It is not a mishmash, it coexists. It coexists by retaining its own individual identity and, coexisting with another. So yes, your mind, your thoughts coexist with your emotions, your experiences, which in turn coexist with your understanding of vibrations, your connection to your soul presence, which in turn coexists with a continuous flow of data that gets processed at some level And exactly what is in service of your highest good being converted into a knowing. All of that coexists with that experience of you being stationed in the foundation of knowing. You are a master manifester already. If my 4-year-old grandson could land that he's a master manifester, we all are. That knowing itself gives you that nimbleness, and a lightness of being comes in. And that lightness of being actually produces a very interesting lens or filter for your miracle lens. It completely declutters, takes away the debris, and you're able to focus on exactly what's missing and essential that you're going to put in place for yourself. Remember, the miracle lens shows you only that which is making your heart sing, not what is making somebody else's heart sing. They will do it for themselves. And what that does is it gives you a lightness of being. When you, in your human form, embrace this lightness of being, you illuminate the innate vibration of being human, which is love. Love is a vibration, it is an amplifying frequency. And with a quickness of this lightness of being, agility comes in and you spring forward in leaps and bounds, experiencing the manifestation of anything and everything that you have intentioned and found the evidence of using these fast track hacks that we have already covered up to this point in time. Now, with that nimbleness, quickness, and agility, you go to the 4th fast track hack, which is illustrious. Illustrious, you first start relating to yourself as illustrious, notably or brilliantly outstanding. Because you start honoring the dignity of you, which is your own worthiness, because it's evident. Your achievements, your actions are evident. You experience yourself as eminent. I mean, that little interaction that I shared with this beautiful lady who comes and, does the housework. The interaction was only a few minutes. But as that interaction was progressing, I was totally experiencing that transformation in myself. And because here's the other exciting thing that the miracle lens does, right? Which is why I call it a fast track hack. Which is, it's like it's in the moment and it multiplies so fast, and it shows you as a matter of evidence that you experience and feel totally certain about. Because it's unequivocal, it keeps you focused in the moment. And with the moment you get into what gets you to get into the cadence of the miracle lens, and therefore every little cell in your body is then exuding the vibrational match to what it is that you desire, you get to that cadence in the miracle lens when all the past and future just drops away. You enjoy that experience of being in the moment. And miracles have, the manifestations have only one way to go, abound, aground, show up everywhere around you and amplify. You literally enter a realm where romance becomes your lifestyle. Drop your hair down, there's a spring in your step. You don't necessarily have to be with another person, and you can if you choose to. And you experience all of these aspects of you that evidence the worthiness of you. And others experience it too. And they start experiencing their own multiplication of manifestations, like this young lady did. Oh, chamatkar ho gaya. My God, did a miracle happen? I don't have the pain that I had only a few minutes ago. You start experiencing yourself, as someone who is brilliantly outstanding, because you've acknowledged so much of what has already been achieved. And now, what does this do to your biggest resource that you have access to, that is always there, sensing where you're at, understanding through your sensory connections, what is it that you want to achieve, the universe? Its only job is to multiply. It only multiplies, it doesn't amplify. You're the amplifier as a human. So now what you're doing is you're amplifying your vibrations, which is an unequivocal knowing that you are the master manifester that has ever existed on this planet. And you have a lightness of being about it. It isn't heavy anymore. It is like autopilot. You also are powered by this tool of the miracle lens. If something goes wrong, okay, I still have my miracle lens, my heart's still beating, so I can lift myself up. Now, by the time you're in this space where you've experienced the illustrious aspect, the universe totally gets it. This is what you love. I just have to multiply this. Now, the universe is not confined by your physical body or your mental thinking. It has access to, its radar can reach resources that you couldn't even imagine or dream about. As long as you remain plugged into what it is that you intend, by the time you get to number 4, you've already stationed it in your current reality. As a vibration, the universe is multiplying it. And going about it in this way, you're already decluttering, you're washing away the debris, so you can actually, you're in a state of flow. Your confusion and all of that is blown away, so you can focus and you can see. You're nimble and agile and quite alert. So you can pick up, this resource is going to serve, this one isn't. By the time you get to this point, you are so plugged into the worthiness of you. You are owning one of the 3 things that we are born with, which is dignity. And with great confidence, you make your choices. And you start acknowledging this has occurred on account of my choice. Not that this happened to me because I had to. One of the aspects of this illustrious experience, which is where the brilliance of it comes in, is any semblance of victimhood where you have to, literally starts to disappear. It has a direct impact in the harmonization of the flow of life force within you. Vitality starts to come in. You experience vitality in your being, and then anything that you give energy to, the work that you may be doing, the intentions, your project planning, your management meetings, whatever it is that you may be working with, there is vitality there. There is an automatic blessing of vitality that you're infusing into medication that you may be prescribed, that you may be taking. So your body tends to receive the benefit. It automatically starts removing that which doesn't serve. It's quite a special experience when you are engaged in this process of fast track hacking of manifest as a pearl of wisdom, that experience of feeling imminent. And in this, remember the pearl of wisdom that I did last week, which is all about awake and asleep? Awake is you are in the wake of your own presence, not in the wake of some avalanche that has taken place somewhere else. So you're trying to, grapple. You're actually in the wake of your own presence, as knowing yourself as a powerful manifester that you are, connected to what you're intending. So before you go to sleep, you can set that as an intention and you leap forward. Manifestations abound. And they are aground all the time because you are plugged into your presence. You stop being a tennis ball that's being, shot about left, right, and center. You become the player of your game of living your life, the intention of which is to come alive. The fifth fast track hack is, now this is where my accent might make it sound weird, but it's fructify or fructify. Fructify, make something productive or fruitful. This is a very important part. This is a very important fast track hack. Make something productive or fruitful. So the way I look at it is, and this is where I speak with great confidence, and I have a knowing that my time is never wasted. It just is never wasted. It is always fruitful. And I do travel a lot, and I do have, delays that happen, extended times where the baggage is lost. All that stuff happens to me as much as it does to others. But I have this knowing, my time is never wasted. So while there's all this mayhem going on around me, I go into, okay, this is in my presence. It has occurred. So what's the productive aspect of what I'm experiencing right now? Sitting on the tarmac for 6 hours because there's a storm that just developed. So we can't even get out of the plane. Okay, so what's productive about this? I use my miracle lens a lot because it keeps showing me what's making my heart sing in that moment when people are getting all agitated all around me. And there's always something quite magical that shows up. It is in those moments that I have learned this, I share it with people who've done deeper work with me that, your ability to holographically transmit your vibrations, to make a difference in the world, to make a difference in certain, people that you care about and stuff, is expanded multifold when you're in the air over 34,000 feet. I learned that in one of these sort of situations where the plane was circling and circling and circling and just couldn't land because there was a storm going on, and therefore it got directed somewhere else. It was in one of those experiences that came out. That was the productive aspect of it. And how did I evidence it? Everybody was actually anxious and agitated. Even the staff, the air hostesses and the pursers were, because we've been circling for several hours. They probably were concerned about the fuel and all of that as well. So the vibration of anxiety was there on the flight. Everyone was. And we had to keep ourselves above a certain level, because if we went into the storm region, we would be bouncing up and down. So it was pretty evident that we weren't going to land anytime soon, So I realized that, okay, how I vibrate is how everyone else will. I didn't know that was true. I just chose it. And off I went, doing these fast track hacks to manifest that. It only took a few minutes. Everyone was calm. We did not land where we were scheduled to land. We landed a few hours away in another town, and it was a very smooth landing. And we all felt like a family. I didn't speak to anyone. And I did exactly what you can do. Just following these fast track hacks meticulously, you make something productive or fruitful in any situation. In my corporate world, I was, one of these quite intentional executives. There was always a go, go, go type vibe about me. And there was always a sense of rush. Finish this and then move to the other and that sort of stuff. And I've just really released the rush. There is no need to rush, because this is another one of those productive, fruitful realization. I got that we are meant to co-create collaboratively, and it's all about coexistence. So what takes my ability to create? I can only be a co-creator if I'm in a creative state. It's when I'm consumed by a rush energy. So when I rush, it takes me away from being creative. It actually takes me away from being productive. I might have some instant gratification experiences, but fulfillment isn't there because I'm rushing on to the next thing, and then the next thing, and then the next thing. That came about in one of those being completely consumed in a hamster in a wheel type experience. Knowing that when I get this done, I have to jump onto another one. And I said, okay, my time is never wasted. What's productive about this? I got the experience of there is no rush, actually. What you want, what your intention can completely be achieved purely by using these fast track hacks. Does not mean you just sit back and not do anything at all. You just choose exactly that which is going to further what your intention is, because you know and you trust and you believe that your intuition or your own intellect will show you the way. And you get it when you just interrupt that rushing energy. you become supremely more productive. There's so many examples of how I get this to work in our business collective that's transformed their business results in, one of the worst periods that mankind has ever experienced. The sixth one, I'm very aware of the time. I get a little bit carried away by each of these. The sixth one is, it's another of those odd words, which is ebullient, EBULLIENT. It's pretty cool, right? How my intuitive guides come up with these wonderful English words. Yes, my vocabulary has certainly improved tremendously since I've been doing the Pearls of Wisdom. So ebullient is cheerful, full of energy, enthusiastic, vivacious. By this time, I'm certainly in that space, and I'm sure you're experiencing it too. And you can imagine, you're just taking in what I'm sharing as pearls of wisdom, right? And if you were actually doing it for yourself, you can go on a hackathon yourself. Go on a fast track hackathon of manifesting this weekend. And you will experience this ebullience. There's a quality to this. It isn't cheerful. It's a combination of cheerfulness and vitality, energized, enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is very different vibration to excitement. Excitement can be a flash in the pan moment. Enthusiasm has got tenure. It's like running a marathon. Enthusiasm is a valley experience that can be as long as you want it to be. And vivacious. This vibration of this particular fast track hack is a combination of all of this. So the way I use it for myself, by this time, I've already looked at those areas of my life where I have already been a manifestor. So the idea here is the way you work with each of these is anchor at a cellular level, at a nanocellular level, the knowingness of the vibration of each of these fast track hacks. So vibrationally, you have it. Remember, the moment you ask, it is given. The moment you desire, it is delivered. It is your desire, and what you ask for is vibrationally received by the universe, and it is delivered vibrationally. Now it's a matter of you plugging in your senses and your sensory systems so that you meet with these vibrations. So all there is to do is to anchor a cellular remembrance of what it feels like. What does ebullient feel like? Apologies for the accent. I have no idea how to pronounce this thing. I like the vibe of it, cheerful, full of energy, enthusiastic, and vivacious. What does that actually feel like? And you're now associating it, creating that association with times where you've manifested things. So you're now programmed yourself that the moment any of these feelings arise, it's like manifestation alert, manifestation alert, manifestation alert. It actually calls you to get clearer and clearer about what it is that you manifest. And the seventh fast track hack is tranquil friendliness, a beautiful, calm, centered friendship with yourself and with all your powerful, amazing collaborators and co-creators. When you start acknowledging your collaborators, co-creators, there always is, even if you're the one who has taken it from start to finish, you will find every time there has been a milestone manifestation, there are visible and invisible collaborators and co-creators. by you allowing yourself to acknowledge those, you actually further enhance and enrich that inner deep centered calmness and a beautiful sense of friendship with the world that you are living in. Aliveness becomes so, aliveness delivered. And you become aware of this powerful gift that you were born with, that you already possess. Over to you, Sunny, to complete our session.
Mynoo, 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 as usual, and yet even more so. I think things are getting richer and richer and richer. I am going to use the word fruitify and fructify. It's my new word. I absolutely love that because it's just the idea of abundance and yumminess and deliciousness and everything good, and also manifesting much cornucopia. We're moving into the November at some point. We're going to be in the fall where it's all about cornucopia and ebullience. It is such a beautiful word. And I love how you tied that together and reminded us that enthusiasm is really the value. Excitement kind of comes and goes, and it can be sort of, all over. But the enthusiasm and cheerfulness, vivaciousness, and tranquil friendship. Thank you, my dear friend, for the tranquil friendship. And for all of you guys out there who are our tranquil friends, at least tonight and this morning, I hope that you take all of these 7 pearls of wisdom hacks, fast tracks, and use them all this week. And then we shall be seeing you next week, right, Mynoo?
Yes,
For our 79th Pearl of Wisdom. So until everyone, much love and much fructifying.
with ebullience. Thank you all. Thank you. Enjoy.